Welcome to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Here's your host, Mary Gaida.
Welcome to 517 In Your Business, a 517 Business podcast brought to you by M3 Group with locations in Lansing and Detroit. From PR and marketing to branding and advertising, if you need it done, there's an M3 expert to do it. M3 Group is where brands thrive. And I've got one of the experts there on the line today. We're speaking with M3 Group Video Content Director, Mark Preston, about all things video. Hello, Mark.
Hey, Mary, how's your day going?
My day is great, Mark, especially now that you're here.
Well, thank you. I appreciate, taking a little time out and talk about all things video, especially with the M3 Group.
Yes. So let's start with a brief background on you, Mark. How long have you been producing video content, and what led you to this career path?
Ironically, in high school, one of my favorite classes was television production. Back in the Stone Age, we did some things with like the local Comcast through the school networks and things like that. Then as I got into college, I kept pursuing like the television production, broadcast communications at that time. And then I got a minor in film studies. Now, at that time, though, I graduated from Wayne State. Film studies was the study of film. So you would look at certain scenes, you would follow genres of specific directors and things like that. So it wasn't actually creating the films and shooting the films. I had a couple script writing classes and things of that nature, but the irony is I didn't know that much of what was going on in the industry in Detroit at that time. I did not think when I graduated that I would actually be doing what I'm doing. I knew I had to get a degree to do something. I thought maybe I'd be selling insurance or just get the paperwork so you can get out there and find a job and start from ground zero and move up. Shortly after I graduated, I had like a couple different jobs. One was working logistics for like supply chain for GM. I did some satellite communication works for Ford, which was their like in-house video network. I felt, okay, now I'm a little closer to what I got my degree in. And then I got this call from an agency that was in the Warren area across from GM that serviced the Chevrolet client work at the time. And that internship then opened up the whole world of what was creative video environment and what it was to be at that broadcast level, that in-house creative service team. And then everything just blossomed from there. So I started my internship there January 20th of 2000. So I've been doing this for 25 years now.
25 years means a lot of experience, which we can see in your work. But I want to know, Mark, what is your favorite part of being on a video shoot after all these years?
So it's still those little moments. When I started, we were building at that time a video environment to go out and capture things. And they were all live events, whether it was to be behind the scenes of a commercial shoot or a photo shoot with some, that was really high end for some of our clients at that time. It could have had a celebrity involved, or, it may have even just been, hey, there's this huge conference going on downtown. We need you to go down and film it. So that gave me a lot of experience of capturing the real moments, like when two people are engaging and talking over something, if we were filming in-house because we wanted to talk about our people and they're looking over a piece of creative, or two people, like we see it a lot now, especially in stock, people leaning over a whiteboard, or they're passing, creative back and forth, or they're both engaged on one laptop, one screen, talking about something.
Right.
But those were the moments that we were doing when that stock stuff wasn't available. You had to find those moments. That still holds true to this day. When we're on a shoot, we do one of our clients that we film a lot for is American Axle. And we're down there following the day in the life of someone. It can be anyone from supply chain to engineering, marketing. I mean, they have so many facets, but we're following that person during their day. And if they're picking up a piece of equipment and they're showing it and training somebody on it, you want to get those hands, the close up of what they're kind of talking about, but then get that engagement between the two people as they're talking. And some of those best moments are when you're crisscrossing from location one to the next location, And then their colleagues walk past and they're like, "Oh, what's going on?" So they'll talk for a minute in the hallway and they'll kind of joke around. I'm always, if it's not me behind camera, I'm like, "Hey, quick, start rolling," right? Because there's going to be smiles, there's going to be engagement. That's the stuff that really comes across pleasant when you're doing the edit afterward. It's a huge advantage to be the person who was on the set or the one who filmed it and then to come back and edit it because you know what the moments were that were captured throughout that day.
Right. And you always have to be on. I understand that from doing photography. You're always looking for those outside moments that can just turn a video around because they're
Mhm.
just natural, organic moments that can be really beautiful on film.
It's so funny how many people look right at the barrel of the lens and then ask, "Well, what are you doing?" What do you think we're doing? Not the first time you've seen a camera. We
Right.
prefer if you were not looking right down, like be natural, walk past. You have to recognize that this is not what everybody sees every day.
Right.
So when you come walking in with cameras and RJ's got, a gimbal and the vest on, and Ken's walking around handheld, and I've got the photography camera or that third camera on a set of sticks, we stand out in other people's environments. So they look at us, they look right at us. What are you guys doing? But you're trying to, so you're always trying to capture those moments where people are at their most real, when they're not thinking about the camera there. So when you walk up on two people and they actually are working and you can get them from a distance, you're going to get the most realistic, interactions between the two of them. And hopefully they're smiling and they're engaging or they're focused. That reads on camera. You can see that. Sometimes we catch people when they're frustrated, then we just kind of walk up and we're like, "Hey, can you guys be a little more lighthearted about whatever you're doing?" Yeah.
Yeah, that's quite a challenge. So that leads to my next question. How do you adapt when things don't go as planned on set?
That happens all the time. So it really just depends on whatever the situation is. It could be weather. It could be sometimes we've walked into places, right? And everybody's so busy they don't have time to carve things out for you. So if you can, we try to think in advance. Can we schedule a few things where we can set up some interactions with people?
Hmm.
And then we'll ask, but it's kind of that same thing. Like, let's not fake this. You guys work together, or and I'm using like one kind of specific analogy. Even if we were going in, we did some stuff for the helm, right? And they do a lot with community service. So we wanted to find out, well, what times were your programs coming? You know, whether it was Meals on Wheels, or it was chair yoga, or it was a wine tasting event. What time are those happening throughout the day? Because we want to make sure that we just let everybody know we're going to capture you, be natural, do your thing, and then overshoot. And if you got one camera, you can absolutely do it. Our team is fantastic. We're so used to not like crisscrossing each other's paths. That comes from a well-oiled, an experience of a team that's had to shoot live events. If it's the opposite, if it's structured, like you're shooting this scene, this setup, here's the storyboard. This person comes in, they hit their mark, they say their line, they move to the next, thing. Then it's just about getting the best delivery and trying to do the take enough times without going over schedule. Sometimes that means it's a revision of dialogue on the fly. Say it in your words. If this is too hard to stutter through, say it in your way and move, and let's move on to the next scene. So you can capture the best out of it, but you have to be flexible. You have to be flexible when filming on a day, and know that your day is going to be long. You're the first to arrive, and you will be the last to leave.
Yes. Let's get into some more advice for clients. What should every client do or consider before stepping in front of a camera?
A lot of times people will get over prepared. They will try to write something out. I have to hit all of these exact bullet points, and you'll stutter through that. It's not natural. If I were just sitting and having coffee with you, or even when we're having the pre-pro meeting, just asking them, well, tell me about your day. What is it that we're looking for to draw out of when we come and film? They're very natural. They're like, oh, well, I'm doing this, and sometimes I'm over here, and then half the day I'm on the other side of campus and I'm working on this thing. That's the way I need you to deliver it. But if you feel that, well, my manager and leadership is going to be watching this, if I don't hit these exact company phrases and I don't hit this exact dialogue that I wrote out for myself, then I didn't deliver it properly. That's why we always shoot with two cameras as well. You want to have that cutaway camera. You have a kind of a master wide where you're talking to the interview, this eye line just a little off camera, and then have that second cutaway. We can cut out ums and buts. And when people think, our eyes go up and to the left. And if that is an entire interview of somebody thinking, what is my next line that I absolutely have to say? You try to just coach them into being calmer. And when they're done delivering a line, the best interviewers that I've ever worked with, and they all have that same trait, they'll ask them something personal within what they just said.
Yeah, that's a great plan. What do you do with folks that are really camera shy?
That happens a lot. It's funny. There are people that I have seen that have come in extremely confident. I can tell you a little anecdote about one time we were down filming the Navy in Pensacola, Florida. And this was all survival training. So these guys were experts and they were super they were just shy of being Navy SEALs. That, these guys are really the badass group of guys that you can give them, a match and a pocket knife and then tell them to survive for a month and they'll figure it out. And we put this one guy in front who was literally just talking about like tourniquet and treating a wound if you cut yourself or hurt yourself out in the field. And you wouldn't believe how much this big, badass kind of guy just totally froze up and he couldn't deliver a line. We just pulled him. We're like, listen, man, this isn't on you, and everybody was trying to encourage him. We're like, you are an expert in your field, but this is not for everyone. When I'm forced to do that, where someone is on camera and I don't have a replacement, sometimes we'll just feed them the line. If we ask them something and they're stuttering through, I'll say, okay, let's break this down into like 3 different sections. Tell me this first part, and I know on camera A, I can get that first part. So say it to me. Now, can you say it one more time? Can you tell me it a third time? Now, by the time the third time comes out, they're usually pretty natural with it. All right, now let's focus on the second part of what you were saying. Now I know in the edit, I can cut to that other camera, possibly put some B-roll over it to kind of cover up if I need to take out, again, some ums, some buts, or if the sentence wanders in a different direction. And then okay, now tell me this third part. That helps them a lot too, because now they're thinking in short bits. That just also comes from experience, because if you're trying to get somebody to deliver on camera the full statement every time, each time, once you can tell they're a little off, you're just going to lose time. It's better to work within their comfort level.
Yeah, great advice. So, what one video do you recommend a business start with for their brand?
That all depends. Are they launching something to try to tell about themselves? Is it something that they need to update because they have, maybe they did their most recent culture video? That's usually the start. Tell us about your culture. When most people are researching today, they go to the website. When they see job in social is king, any young person who is looking to work for a potential employer and they're filling out that application through LinkedIn or Indeed or whatever, they go to the website and then they go to their social pages. So what we tell them is, especially if you're working on a culture video about who you are, we will more than likely be able to take small elements out of there and create social pieces for you. Put this stuff online. What did one of your key employees or one of your key leadership say in a very short sentence about the company or about the work or the product that you provide, that we can sliver into a 15-second, put it into the different resizes of mobile or Facebook or if you want to go organic or if you want to go paid, put a learn more at or put the company logo at the end. And that kind of stuff drives people back, the outside world. That will drive them back to go and look at your website or to check out your YouTube channel. And then they can see the full video. If it's something specific, like a demonstration video or something like that, then we just kind of narrow in. Well, what is the key product? What are the key features of this? When we know what the key, like what this piece does and what it was designed for, now we can think about the B-roll. Do we want to capture people engaging with it? is it a piece of hardware that's permanently fixed? Do we need to look in at certain, do we need to bring out the macro lenses or the long lenses so we can focus on very specific functions of that product or of that piece of machinery, or and it could be anything. It could even be of just like a design booklet or those kinds of things. We want to get people engaging with it as much as possible. So it really depends on what is the client looking for. If you haven't had a culture piece on your company in a while, we should probably start there.
Well said. And as you talk, I can feel the passion, your passion for video. So tell me, are there any trends you're just over, or maybe a trend that you're really excited about?
Well, right now we're actually doing some work in animation, and we're seeing like these texture layers that are kind of like shifting around in the background. It was one of the things that RJ and I were talking about as we're working on a new animated piece for M3 that's going out. And it's like, we always want to stay with what's happening. There was a point in time when I was filming a lot of photography, and that HDR was so popular, right? We'd
Mm.
pull it in, and then you make it a smart object, and then you do this, and you make it black and white, then you would hit the sharpen tool, and that look and feel all seem the same. After that, when the early kind of onset of like the Instagram filters, right, putting in the color and like the light leaks and things, not only did you see that in the photography, but that also very much went into the video work. One thing that's always clean and classic, black and white, always clean and classic. As long as it's not flat, right? You still have dimension within, whether that's on video or whether that's in photography. It's not as much used in video, I shouldn't say, but photography definitely. It's always clean, classic, and it can last for quite some time. What we do a lot now is when telling storytelling and editing, that kind of overcrank feeling. It just brings in a little more it's great to be able to use both. For a while there, everything was overcranked. When you saw somebody on video, they were delivering, their lines or their interview in real time, and then all the B-roll was this kind of like slow motion. If you mix that with a little bit of real-time engagement as well in the scenes, that's what we're starting to see pepper in a lot of videos right now, and it's engaging. Color trends, they change. I wouldn't say we stay away from it, because we want to make things that look. We just did a piece for a different automotive group, Tremic, one of our clients. Their high-end performance, right? You wanted to use fast cuts, and you're using those slivered moments. You're ramping things up. You're still using the light leaks and the wipes, because it's high energy. That's how you build stuff up. Then we have our client FAMD. It's a little more emotionally engaging. It's about rescuing animals. It's a service center now to the Wayne County and Dearborn area. So they have students that engage with the animals, amazing volunteers, as well as a handful of staff, because this is a nonprofit. So they have people that work there, but they have a great amount of like community engagement and volunteers. Those are the opportunities to go in when you're shooting kittens and puppies. And I mean, that's just a great day. And then even like what we're doing right now, trying to separate some of our, credit union work. Some of the brands and the credit unions that we're going after are not your traditional old stale credit unions. And, the work we're doing for MSU, FCU, it's about the lifestyle outside and how the credit union is there to support you with loans, with your banking situation, with the way you interact with the app, because you're out shopping with your daughter to get all of her Michigan State swag. It's so we're not focusing on the credit union, we're focusing on your lifestyle. We're focusing on the services that we provide that you don't have to think about. You're going on your app, you're checking a few things, and then you launch with your daughter or your son, and you're going out about your day.
Right. Okay, so we're running out of time. I could talk to you all day. I'm going to ask you three kind of quick fire questions. I want you to just come up with the first things that come to your mind when I ask you these questions. If budget, time, and approvals didn't exist, what is your dream video project?
That one would be a challenge. I have done a lot of work with some nonprofits, and it's really about going after the story that needs to be told. So when somebody says, hey, we need help in this area, whether it's a foundation, 501c or something like that, and you can really bring it to life with, again, all that emotion and all that engagement, the right piece of music, when you've got a well-written script that is telling the story, you walk away, that's the portfolio piece. That's the piece you're going to show to other people. That's the one you're going to use for other clients as well, just to say that you know how to tell that story.
Okay. What's your go-to piece of gear you, Mark, cannot live without on a video shoot?
It's funny, I have so we have these it's a little tripod key so that you can twist the screws. It's like a flat-headed screwdriver. I have it on my keychain. I've bought multiple that we have on different carabiners, so I'll make sure that each one of the guys has the one in their pocket, because when you're switching from a set of sticks to a gimbal to handheld to a low hi-hat, you're continually switching the plates. That is one of the most valuable pieces, because if you only have one and you keep running back to the staging, you're losing time. You need to be able to switch that out real quick. That is probably the one piece to make sure that you can switch out between the various components that you might need when you're on a shoot.
Okay, and last question. I know you've got a team, you've got RJ, you've got Ken, you've got others that help you in the video department. When they're headed out the door, I want to know what you're double checking, your on-set survival kit, what's in your bag on every shoot.
So outside of all the main gear that we know we're taking, lighting, cameras, lenses, audio, those kits have all been built to know that everything is in there as it's exactly supposed to be. We have all the accessories. We have all the batteries. Batteries and all that stuff are all charged the day before. You cannot do this stuff. You have to pre-plan before you walk out the door. But outside of that, there is a toolkit, and it has all the small Allen wrenches, a couple of screwdrivers. It has, a couple of thinner gaff tapes, and some of them are slightly colored with some electrical tape, because sometimes you just need to mark something in the environment. You want to try to match it to the environment. So that it's almost like a go bag, and it's just mixed with all the little tools and accessories that you just might need. So yeah, there's a toolkit bag that over the years it keeps growing. We have a kit that goes out with us, and it always stays with all the extra electrical cords. So we always know where it's at. If when you need to get electrical cords to run a light, you will have to move that bag of these small tools and wrenches and things of that nature.
So you're making me think about those Navy SEALs you mentioned earlier, and you're sort of your own video Navy SEALs.
It comes from years of being somewhere, knowing that what I may have needed or what I may have forgotten, because it was in the studio as part of the studio kit, but wow, we could really use this now. So sometimes it's a little extra, and those things never even come out of the bag. But the day you don't bring it is the day you're going to need it.
Yeah, always be prepared. Mark from M3 Group, thank you so much for your time talking all things video today on 517 in your business. I encourage folks to visit the website at m3group.biz or send an email to info@m3group.biz if you want to know more about getting a video for your organization. Thank you, Mark, for joining us.
Absolutely. And thank you for having me. This was great.
Thanks for listening to the 517 In Your Business podcast. Get to know local businesses better by reading 517 Business Magazine. Get your subscription at 517mag.com/subscribe.